Well, for more on the Trump-Putin summit, I'm joined now by Ivan Eland. He's a senior fellow and director of the Center on Peace and Liberty at the Independent Institute. Ivan, thank you for joining us. We heard that interview there with the Russian senator talking about Syria and Ukraine. Do you think this summit can have an impact on those issues?
Well, in May, we don't know what's going to happen because they have this session by themselves with nobody but interpreters. So those things could be discussed. It's always good to discuss things with countries that you have issues with, and Russia and the United States certainly have issues at this point. And I also hope that he will bring up, that is, Trump will bring up with Putin the Russian meddling in the U.S. election, which is fairly proven that happened by the intelligence agencies and now by the law enforcement agencies here. And voting is very dear to Americans' hearts, and it's a central part of our system. Now, everybody tries to interfere with other countries' elections, but this was very blatant, and I think that countries need to do something. So I think that hopefully he'll bring that issue. He says he's going to, but he really doesn't have much incentive to do so since the Russians were helping out his campaign.
You mentioned that it's just going to be the two of them and their interpreters. Does that format benefit one of them perhaps more than the other?
Well, I think it benefits Putin. Trump is a relative neophyte with government. You know, he was in business before, but he's never done any of these negotiations very much. He had business negotiations, but it's not really the same. And of course, Putin is a former KGB agent and knows all the manipulative tactics of that. So I think Putin would have the advantage. And many people here in the West are hoping that Trump doesn't agree to withdraw troops from Germany or abrogate NATO or, quit aiding the Ukrainian rebels, which might not be a bad idea. But anyway, the Western bureaucracies really don't want that to happen. So they're really scared that not only in Europe, but in the U.S. bureaucracies, that Trump will give away something without getting anything.
What do you make of the timing of this meeting on the heels of NATO, of course, but also just as these indictments came out in the U.S.?
Well, I think the indictments came out because the law enforcement agencies wanted to get this on the record so that Trump could say something if he wanted to. And I think the law enforcement agencies are probably, pressuring Trump to say something, because I think everyone in the law enforcement and even the defense community here thinks that we ought to be doing more to prevent any country from hacking our elections or interfering with them. So, but I think Trump knew about this a long time. He's known about it almost a week now. And so he knew this was going to come out before the summit. And I think it's an opportunity for him, but I rather doubt he's going to take it.
And really quickly, if I can, China, of course, not at this summit, but what should Beijing, watching this, of course, make out of it?
Well, I think if I were the Chinese, I think I would be enjoying myself. The two other countries are feuding, even though Trump doesn't want to feud. Russia and the United States have a lot of issues between them. And I know the U.S. and China have the trade issue between them, but they're also cooperating somewhat on the North Korean issue. And so I think the Chinese are probably, the Chinese government's probably reasonably happy that the two sides are preoccupying themselves with this sort of thing.
Okay, Ivan Eland from the Independent Institute. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you for joining us.